All right, so this is page 3. Now we're going to actually do official graphs of these. And I'm going to teach you a trick that will make this easier. So we're going to do what we've been doing. We're going to find the axis of symmetry. We're going to find the vertex. And then we're going to fill in the values. It says use your calculator, but you should be able to, they're going to be easy numbers. And then you're going to find the domain and the range. So let me show you on this first one. I'm going to do a couple of these. So my A is 1, my B is 0, my C is 0. So if I do a negative B over 2A, my axis of symmetry is 0. So that means that my vertex is 0. So if I plug 0 into here, I get 0 for an answer. So I know my vertex is 0, 0, and I know it opens up. I put the vertex into this middle one. And now I kind of cheat. I go up by 1, so 1, 2, and I go down by 1, so -1, -2. Okay, and so that tells me, the vertex tells me where the middle is. So now if I put 1, and I'm going to take these numbers, I'm going to plug them into this x squared, right? So it's x squared. So if I take 1 and I do 1 squared, that's 1. So I have a point at 1, 1. And if I do 2, 2 squared is 4. So I have a point at 2, 4. And then if I put it in the negative, you're squaring a -1, so that's 1. And you're squaring a -2, so that's 4. And so my graph opens up like this. And if you look, the domain, I can put anything in. I could have put in decimals. I could have put in fractions. I can square anything. I just chose to keep it easy. So remember, way back at the beginning, my domain is a -infinity to infinity because I can put everything in. But my range, the bottom point is at 0. So it's from 0 to infinity because it's going up. Okay, so we're going to get 5 points on these. I would strongly suggest not using your calculator to graph it because when you get into Algebra 2, you're going to have an entire test that has no calculator. So you have to do these by hand. And so it's probably just best because these aren't going to be crazy numbers. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. So my A is 1, my B is 2, and my C is a -1. Okay, so if I do my negative B over 2A, my axis of symmetry is a -1. And now I'm going to plug that into here. -1 squared is 1, plus 2 times the -1 is a -2, minus 1. So that's a -1 minus 1, so that's at a -2. Okay, you're going to put that into the middle, -1, -2, -1, -2, and you're going to put a dot. And then you're going to go forward and you're going to go backwards. Okay, if you use those numbers, it will be a lot easier. So if I put in 0, I'm going to kind of cheat and write it here. I'm going to do 0 plus 2 times 0 is 0 minus 1. So that's a point at 0, -1. And then I'm going to put in 1. And so 1 squared is 1 plus 2 times 1 is 2 minus 1. So that's 3 minus 1 is 2. So I have a point at 1, 2. So this side. Now I want to show you, well, I'm going to plug it in. So -2 squared is 4 plus 2 times -2 is a -4 minus 1. So this one's also at a -1. Okay, so I could have just brought this up here. They're going to match. Same thing here. -3 squared is 9 plus 2 times a -3 is a -6 minus 1. That ends up being 3 minus 1 is 2. Again, these answers were the same, because it's symmetrical. So I have a lot of kids in high school that only do the forward side. They do the positives, and then they just write the numbers in there. Okay, and I will show you that on the next problem. Okay, my domain for this whole thing is going to be -infinity to infinity because you can square anything. Okay, you can square anything at all. You just, it's going to be above a -2. It's the range that's you have to look at the bottom of the graph. Okay. All right. So I would like to take a look at this next one, and we're going to use that trick. So my A is a -1, my B is a -8, and my C is a -17. So I'm doing a negative b over 2a. So that's a negative 4. So my axis of symmetry is a negative 4. Okay, so I'm going to plug the negative 4 in there. So that's a negative of a negative 4 squared minus 8 times a negative 4 minus 17. So that's a negative 4 squared is 16, but then you're taking the negative of it. And then that would be a plus 32 minus 17. So when I do all of that, that becomes 16 minus 17. So if I put those together, so it's a negative 1. So that goes into the middle. Negative 4, negative 1. Negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1. Okay, so now instead of doing all of these, because that would take a while, I'm going to go forward, negative 3, negative 2, and I'm going to go backwards, negative 5, negative 6. Okay, so I'm going to start by doing the negative 3. Those are going to be the same because it's symmetrical. So I'm going to come over here to the side because I got more room. So I'm going to put a negative 3 in there. So negative 3 squared minus 8 times a negative 3 minus 17. Negative 3 squared is 9, but you're taking the negative of it, plus 24 minus 17. Put those two together, that's 15 minus 17 is a negative 2. So that means these are both a negative 2. Negative 3, negative 2, negative 5, negative 2. And you just have to do it one time. Okay, same thing goes for the next one. These are going to be the same. Okay, so instead of doing both of them, I'm just going to put in the negative 2. So I'm going to do negative of a negative 2 squared minus 8 times a negative 2 minus 17. That's 4, but I'm taking the negative of it, plus 16 minus 17. So the first part is 12 minus 17 is a negative 5. So I have a point at negative 2, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here. So it's going down like this. So my range is a negative infinity to infinity. My domain, excuse me. And my range is a negative infinity to the top of it is at a negative 1. And if you notice, that matches that vertex. Okay. All right. I would like you to pause the video and I would like you to do, let's go do 4 and 5. Pause the video and do 4 and 5. All right, so this is, nope. A is a negative 2, B is 4, C is 1. So I'm doing a negative B over 2A. So my axis of symmetry is a positive 1. So if I put that in there, negative 2 times 1 squared plus 4 times 1 plus 1. So this is negative 2 plus 4 plus 1, which is 2 plus 1 is 3. So you should have a vertex. I'm going to put that in the middle at 1, 3. And then you're putting in 2 and 3 and 0 and a negative 1. Okay. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do 0 would be way easier, right? Doesn't matter which one you put in. So I'm going to do a negative 2 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0 plus 1. So that's 0 plus 0 plus 1. So this is a 1, which means this is a 1. They have to be the same. So you have a point at 1, 3 and at 0, 1 and at 2, 1. And now I'm going to put in these. And I can choose which one. So I'm going to put in the 3 because it's positive. So I'm going to do a negative 2 times 3 squared plus 4 times 3 plus 1. So 3 squared, so that's a negative 18 plus 12 plus 1. So that's a negative 6 plus 1, which is a negative 7. So these are the same because it's symmetrical. And so that's why I put the vertex in the middle. So negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this thing is going down. Oh, that was terrible. Sorry. Okay. And then I asked you to do this one. So A is 1, B is a negative 6, C is 11. So I'm doing a negative B over 2A. So my axis of symmetry is 3. Yes, you have to put X equals because it's a line. And then you're doing 3 squared is 9 minus 6, that's 18 plus 11. So this is a negative 9 plus 11, which is 2. Put that in the middle. Okay. And then I'm going up 1, 4, 5, and down 1, 2, 1. And now I'm going to do these, and I can choose whichever one I want. So I'm going to do the 2 because it's smaller. So 2 squared is 4. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 11. So this is a negative 8 plus 11, which is 3. So these are both 3s. So 2, 3, and 4, 3. And now I'm going to do 1 and 5, and I can do whichever one I want. So I'm going to do the smaller one. I'm going to do 1. 1 squared is 1 minus 6 plus 11. So this is a negative 5 plus 11, which is 6, right? Yes. Okay, so these are both 6s. So I'm going to go 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, and I'm going up here. So my domain is a negative infinity to infinity, and my range starts there at 2. So that's 2 to infinity. Okay, so this is our second day of notes on this.